3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is Hunter. This is the Real Pineapple. I'm here with Colin. Colin, how are you, friend?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm excited. This is one of my favorite podcasts we do each year, and if you've listened to us for a little while, thank you. If this is your first time, welcome. This is our top 10 best of 2018, which we usually like to do this after the Oscars, but you know, Colin's been Mr. Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, and I
just can't stay in one place for too long.
It's really true, and then I've been, you know, life's gotten in the way, so we had to push back a little bit. But this will be a fun podcast. I will say, I'm excited about the honorable mentions because I know there's going to be at least one movie on my list that didn't make it. That's in my honorable mentions. You're going to go, what? Really? Like, I know you're going to have that reaction. So I'm excited to get your thoughts on my list. And dude, I'm curious to hear your list. What I'll say too, if I kind of throw it to you here, I always find it interesting how sometimes people go, you know, oh, this is a bad year for movies, it's a bad year for film. And I went, no, it really wasn't. It was actually quite an amazing year for film, actually. And going through all the stuff that I couldn't find a spot for, I felt bad for a lot of these movies. It's like, I wanted to find a spot for you, but I just couldn't. Colin, yeah, kind of your thoughts on the year in film we just got through with.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that every year, like, you know, man, there just wasn't that many movies I really liked this year. And I was starting to think that before I started putting this list together, but then once I really started getting titles on the list, I was like, oh my gosh, there was a lot more than I realized. I mean, for making a list of 10, I had 21 that I came up with that I thought all could have fit in there. So, I mean, yeah, 11 movies that I thought could at least have made, you know, the bottom of my top 10 list didn't have any room to make it. So, yeah, looking back, I thought it was a good year for film. I thought there was lots of different categories. There was comedies that I thought were good. There was animated movies that I thought were really good. Dramas, action movies. You know, I think I have a little bit of everything on this list. And, yeah, I mean, no matter what you like, if you asked me, I could give you something that you probably would enjoy. So for that, yeah, I'm excited to talk about 2018.
Yeah, man. So I will say I'm going to start off with a film that I think most people are going to go, that's seriously not on your list. It's not on my list. So kind of jump into our honorable mentions. We'll just kind of volley here and kind of see where we want to stop the conversation. So a couple films from my honorable mentions. Sorry to Bother You. Could not find a spot for it. I love that movie so much. We haven't reviewed it yet. I think I'm going to make a point for us to review that. I thought that film was just fucking wonderful. Yeah, I love that movie so much.
It's really funny. It definitely got weird at the end, but it
did. It was
good. It made you think.
But I love that it got weird. And to be completely honest, as someone who's definitely been accused of not sounding black, I know if your first time listening, I know, shocking, the whole customer service voice.
Do you sound like Patton Oswalt when you are on calls?
Basically, yeah. Oh, dude, so there's actually a term we have for it at work. It's my NPR voice. It's like, oh, thank you so much for calling me.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, dude. I fully admit it. So, watching the movie, I went, oh, it's like it's me. I totally understand.
Nice.
So, love that movie. Couldn't find a spot for it. A Simple Favor. Fucking love A Simple Favor. And I could not find a spot for it. Paul Feig, who I will be the first to admit, I think some of his films are just like Bridesmaids. I don't get it. I just don't think it's very funny. That Ghostbusters remake.
Yeah, you should listen to that review if you're listening.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah, like I actually
loved
Oh yeah, dude. So I tried to be kind of like, it's not great, but there's a couple parts and you were just like, I didn't like this at all.
Yeah, I was just like, fuck this movie from the beginning.
Yeah, you were not a fan, but dude, you talk about Blake Lively, and you talk about Anna Kendrick. So Anna Kendrick, she was in one of my least favorite films of last year. She was in Pitch Perfect 3. If I met Anna Kendrick last year, I'd been like, why are you in these bad movies? I know you're better than this. And it was almost like she heard me, and she went, oh, I'll make something really great. She's amazing in that movie. And Blake Lively, their chemistry is fantastic. And the way it's shot, it's almost shot kind of like the colors are so vibrant and everything. And Paul Feig just did a great job with the humor. It is kind of, Gone Girl, except it's two girls, basically. I mean, it kind of is that same kind of formula, but it's a format that really works for me. And then I'm going to throw out one more honorable mention before I throw it to you. Avengers Infinity War. I couldn't find a spot for it on my list, and when I showed this to my friend, they're like, what? And I was like, dude, I know. Trust me. I wanted to find a spot for Infinity War, but the reason why I'm not putting it on there currently is because it is part 1 of 2.
Yeah, it's not a complete story yet.
Exactly. So if Endgame is just fucking wonderful, Endgame will be on my list for this year. But I couldn't find a spot for Infinity War. Like I said, and you hit the nail on the head. It is an unfinished product. So I'm not comfortable putting unfinished product on my list. So, Colin, throwing it to you, man. What are a couple honorable mentions you got?
Sure, yeah. So I had a lot of them, but I'll just go through 3. So one animated movie, it's a particular style of animation, Isle of Dogs.
Yes.
That didn't make my list, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really love Wes Anderson in general. I don't think this is necessarily one of his strongest movies, but it was still strong. I thought it was, just very charming. The fact that, you can't really understand the humans, you're just understanding the dogs, creates an interesting dynamic. But I think for the most part, it was just the charm of the movie. It was very wholesome, and it was just enjoyable to watch. It also has all of the Japanese culture that is also fun to see on the screen. So that one didn't quite make the 10, but definitely worth an acknowledgement. I also really enjoyed mid-90s.
Yes.
It didn't quite crack the list, but as a first movie from Jonah Hill, written and directed by, it was a pretty good showing for his first effort in the writing and directing category. And it was just, it did really bring you back. If you're a child of the 90s, it's very easy to appreciate this movie.
It is.
It has a lot of the nostalgia that brings you back to that time. Even the way that the movie is presented to you, it's not in widescreen. It's in the 4:3 aspect ratio. Same.
Look at you, film nerd. I'm so happy you brought that up.
Yeah, so it's in the same format that, us as kids of the 90s would have watched most movies if you didn't go see it in theaters because you were watching it on your old CRT TV,
yes, sir.
Either on VHS or on TBS or something like that. So I appreciated that. It was just a really enjoyable movie. Definitely worth checking out. In addition to that, I had a couple documentaries on my list.
Is Free Solo one?
Free Solo is one.
I love Free Solo.
Free Solo was...
That is also on my list for honorable mentions.
Yeah, that documentary is wild.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how that person even exists. The dude that free climbed the face of I think it was El Capitan in
we will review
Yosemite.
Free Solo next week. I love Free Solo.
Just watching that movie would make my it would make me cringe. It would just thinking about doing it. Like when he's like halfway up and there's no turning back, I'm just like,
Right?
this is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, like, I remember I saw Free Solo in theaters, and people were like, and I was telling people, you need to see this documentary. And people were kind of like, yeah, it sounds weird. I'm like, no. Free Solo is fucking insane. It's like that, what was that movie, The Walk, that Joseph Gordon-Levitt did, where he's playing the guy who walks, like, from...
Oh, yeah, I actually like that movie.
Yeah, no, it's like that, but it's, like, it's real. And, like, I was like, holy shit, this is horrifying in every way. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and all these, like, professional climbers that use gear are all like, this guy's crazy.
Sorry, that use what?
What's that?
Sorry, that use what?
That use, like, traditional gear. Oh, gear?
Yeah, like John Glazer Loves Gear. Sorry.
Yeah,
like,
gear.
If you haven't watched John Glazer Loves Gear, watch John Glazer Loves Gear. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, my last thought on that was just, like, even those guys are like, this dude's crazy. So you know that he's actually, like, insane. The other one, I don't know if this is potentially in your top 10, but it's Won't You Be My Neighbor. That movie just was like the most wholesome, charming story of just a wonderful man. And everyone in the world should see it because that's just like the best of humanity on display. Those are a few of my honorable mentions.
Dude, I love that honorable mentions list. The one other movie I am going to throw out because I don't think it did pretty well at the box office, which I'm happy about, but you need to see it. Seek out Searching. Searching is amazing.
That one was good.
Searching is amazing, and just don't read anything online about it. Just go in cold. And dude, my theater was like at near the end. It's Searching is it's fucking gold. Love Searching. So
I feel like it would be a good experience to watch that movie on your laptop or on your computer, you know? Like,
I agree.
Like just full screen it and then just like watch it, because then it's almost like it's almost like a, you know, like a point of view type. You feel like you're the one searching through your desktop and everything. It was a really interesting concept of a movie.
Yeah, and the concept actually worked because I always get kind of like, okay, you know. I think Blair Witch kind of ruined that for me, where, you know, movies can kind of have that gimmick and you go like, it's just substance, or are you just lazy? But no, Searching is an amazingly well done movie. John Cho, man,
Sulu,
kids, yeah, Sulu, exactly. Like
or
damn,
Harold.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it weird that Harold has become such a great actor? It's kind of
once he stopped smoking weed, he just came at. Space action star and then a very clever father.
Yeah, like I love that. I love that movie. So if you guys again have listened to us for a while, you know how we do our top 10 best or worst stuff. So we're gonna go through our 10 through 6, both of us, and then we'll go through our 5 through 2, and then of course dive into our number 1. So for me, my number 10 is Green Book. Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen off of a script co-written by Peter Farrelly of There's Something About Mary, which just trips me out that he and the director of it too. So here's the thing about Green Book. I get why people were upset that it won Best Picture. I don't feel the venom that a lot of people felt, where they're just like, you know, it's Driving Miss Daisy 2.0. I really don't feel that strong about it. I thought Mahershala Ali was fucking wonderful, and if we're gonna go ahead and be completely honest, Christian Bale or Viggo Mortensen should have won Best Actor. Honestly, I thought it should have went to Viggo. I thought he was fucking amazing in this. And then Linda, I want to say it's Cardellini, I want to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who
From
I've
Freaks
seen a
and
lot
Geeks.
of. Yeah, who I just Grandma's Boy.
Yeah,
too,
we
right?
could, or even better film than Green Book, Grandma's Boy.
So first off, I've had a thing for her since Freaks and Geeks, and she just developed into such an amazing fucking actress. Whenever I see
Bloodline too.
her, yeah, like whenever I see her in something, I'm like, oh, thank God she's in this. Cool, like this will probably be good. She's great. She doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but she does a lot of what she has. But the movie is really carried by the friendship between Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen and their characters. I really appreciate the fact that Mahershala, I mean, his character is like, yeah, I need to go, like, I don't have to go to the South because, you know, I'm rich, bitch, but but I want to go to the South, and so he hires Viggo's character, and I really love that distinction, which is what I think keeps it from being a driving Miss Daisy, because he didn't have to go down there. It's a very conscious decision that he's making, and it deals with some really, I mean, there's some racist shit that happens where I went, ugh, damn, like, you know, it's uncomfortable, and it should be, honestly. So, when people are saying, you know, oh, like, it's driving Miss Daisy, you know, it's racist, I really didn't feel that. I do wish there had been some more black people involved behind the scenes, but as far as the story and the film itself, I think it's so well done. And Mahershala, man, 2 Oscars already. If you haven't watched True Detective this season, he's gonna get an Emmy too, because he's amazing in True Detective, and I'm only 4 episodes in. So, yeah, Mahershala's amazing. So that's my number 10.
Nice.
My number 9 is a movie that Colin bought, and I just went, you know, I'm a little high. I'm just gonna watch this because the cover is hilarious. Hearts Beat Loud is my number 9.
So wholesome.
So Nick Offerman, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it. He was too good as Ron Swanson. Like, if there's a crime, that was his crime, that he was just too good in the role of Ron Swanson, because I think people forget how good of an actor Nick Offerman really is. Between this and you saw him in Bad Times at the El Royale, you see him in The Kings of Summer. He's a really damn good actor, and he really got to show off a little bit in this. And I had no idea that he was such a good musician. That was something I was like, oh, that's a surprise. Okay, that's cool. The chemistry between Nick Offerman's Frank and Kiersey Clemens' Sam. Kiersey Clemens, by the way, she's been in some really not great things. She's in Dope and Neighbors 2, which I love both of those. But she's in also Flatliners, which is one of the worst things I've ever seen, or at least in the last 5 years. So, but she has a really great singing voice. The music is amazing in this. I actually have the Hearts Beat Loud playlist on my Spotify, and that's a constant go to for me. I thought Ted Danson, I'll be honest, he looked like your dad in this, and that's made me laugh. I was like, I could totally imagine Sean just like running up.
My like, dad?
Yeah, your dad. That just made me laugh. But Ted Danson's cool. Great in this, and kind of was like a, you know, like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, it's kind of like Cheers.
Yeah.
And then Toni Collette, who I love Toni Collette. Her and Nick Offerman's, their chemistry, I thought was just off the page too. A really kind of bittersweet but a realistic ending with some great music, paired with some great music and some really great performances. That makes it my number 9. I loved Hearts Beat Loud. So that's my number 9. My number 8, not just because of the irony of putting it in the spot, but because it's a great movie. 8th Grade. Loved 8th Grade. Bo Burnham. Who the hell knew Bo Burnham was going to be such a good screenwriter?
Crazy, right?
And if you haven't watched Bo Burnham's stand-up specials, they're on Netflix. He's a really talented comedian. So, I wasn't overly surprised. But, you know, writing stand-up and writing a film, those are 2 completely different things. And he directed the shit, too. So, Elsie Fisher, she plays Kayla. We talked about it when we reviewed this. Dude, I felt like I was her in 8th grade. Just, you know, like a, you know, chunky black kid who's trying to talk to, you know, to the opposite sex, who has no confidence at all and kind of just, you know, buries himself in whatever they can to go ahead and deal with their depression. Like, it really brings a lot of very real world issues to a film that I think a lot of parents do need to see this. If you have teenagers, you should watch this. You should watch it even if you don't have teenagers, because it's just a great movie. But the movie really does point out the fact that, look, teenagers go through a lot. And I thought I went through a lot as a teenager when I was a teenager, I think going through as a teenager now would be even more difficult. So I appreciate the gravity that the film really kind of lays down. We talked about in the review too. There's a scene where I want to say the guy is, I think he's a junior in high school or a senior. I can't remember which, but he starts getting to try to play Truth or Dare, and to peel the curtain back a little bit here, as someone who waited quite a while before they, how I put this politely, made whoopee. Do people still see that? But,
I think that's from like the Match Show or something back in the 70s.
it sounds good, but
or no, the Newlywed Game. There you go.
Okay. Oh God, I'm completely dating myself here, but like I was in 8th grade, but thought you'd like that one, but it deals with the uncomfortableness of someone trying to sleep with you and you saying no, and how, and I've only been on the dude side. I can't imagine being a girl and being like, hey, I'm not feeling this. I'm sure most guys, unfortunately, have the reaction that this guy did, which was that of a grade A fucking douche snozzle. So, it really plays well, and it hurts your heart watching the movie. But at the end of the movie, she ends up in a good place. So that's my number 8. My number 7, Paddington 2. Oh my God, I love this band.
Paddington 2.
I love these movies so much, and apparently we're not getting a third one. I guess they're doing they're doing like an animated show, but it's still gonna be what's his name, Ben Winsley, I want to say, who Ben Whishaw. Pardon me, I was way off. But
Samsonite.
But he's gonna, I guess, is gonna voice Paddington in this new animated show, which I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. The movies are just great, and I don't know how these films keep getting better. I thought the first one was great. The second one with Hugh Grant playing a parody of himself as a washed-up actor who's just trying to steal this book that leads to gold. I was like, really? This is the plot of this?
It's pretty good.
But it's so fun, and the family is so charming around Paddington, and it's amazing how well animated the films are, and how Paddington just blends in to his natural environment. It's really a trip how good everything does look. And I know I brought up in the review, the end of the movie, man. The end of that movie, it gets me every time. I was like, oh, damn it, you fucking bear. Like, it makes me cry, but in the best way. I actually just bought Paddington on Blu-ray today, actually, because while I was doing my list, I was like, I don't own Paddington 2. I need to buy that. So I just bought off Amazon today. But,
perfect.
But yeah, man, if you guys haven't seen Paddington 2, Paddington 1 is on Netflix still, I want to say, or was last I checked. So if you haven't watched Paddington 2, watch Paddington 1 first. It's really great, and then go out of your way to get Paddington 2, because it really is just a delightful film. So that's my number 7. My number 6, A Star Is Born. First off, fuck Bradley Cooper, because, I mean, not only does he get to voice a wonderful, adorable raccoon, but he sings, and he can direct, too. It's like, and helped write this. It's like, whatever. Like, what a dick. Like, save some for someone else. Watch, we'll watch a movie review podcast next week. I'm like, but Bradley Cooper, though, he's amazing in this movie, and the way that he was able to direct Lady Gaga, she's incredible in this. I mean, again, you can make the argument, well, she's playing a singer, whatever. But if you've seen a Lady Gaga interview, she's very confident. Stephanie is not confident at all, and so really her flipping the script, wink, in the way she did, and turning out the performance she did, I thought was just insanely impressive. The way that the concert sequences are filmed, it makes you feel like you're watching a concert in a movie theater. Like you're watching a live, these who do the live streams or whatever, like YouTube and all that. And the first time they performed Shallows together, I was just I was a mess, man. I was like, whatever, this isn't good. And the end of the movie is just the biggest well, it's gonna be a quiet drive home. Like, sort of ending.
Yeah,
It's like,
gut wrenching.
yeah, it's like, oh my god, really? Like, it's a rough ending, but the song that Lady Gaga sings after what happens is such a, it's beautiful.
So sad.
It's so beautiful though. It's just like, oh my god, this is insanely good. Yeah, and Sam Elliott, who I honestly, if Mahershala doesn't have his performance in Green Book, I think he wins Best Supporting Actor, because I thought Sam Elliott was amazing in that movie. And fucking Chappelle had a really good performance.
Yeah, Chappelle was good
for the little bit he was in there. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, Chappelle was great in this. So
Bradley Cooper's character was so cool. He's like, yeah, my old friend's Dave Chappelle. I can just show it up his house, no big deal. I was like, you're so cool, Bradley Cooper. Damn it.
Yeah. Hashtag humble brag. But yeah. But yeah, dude, absolutely love A Star Is Born. So that's my number 6. Mr. Colin, go ahead, man. You're 10 through 6.
Nice, great start to the list there, bud. So we'll just jump right into this with number 10. Yeah, this may seem out of place to some people, but you know what? Gosh dang it, these movies are just so freaking entertaining. I mean, I can't think of many movies that are almost 2.5 hours long, and I just enjoy every second of it because it's just adrenaline shot straight to the jugular. And I'm talking about Mission Impossible Fallout, baby.
Dude, no judgment at all. We both love Fallout.
Dude, this movie is so good in every action-packed way.
Right?
It's directed by Christopher McQuarrie again. He started out doing Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise, and then graduated, started doing these Mission Impossible movies. He did Rogue Nation, and his latest was Fallout here. It looks like he's on board to do 2 more, in fact.
Yeah, they're filming them back to back.
Yeah, which is crazy. I was looking into this. Tom Cruise originally starred as Ethan Hunt in the first Mission Impossible in 1996.
God,
so,
that's a trip.
23 years ago. Some of you may be listening to this and you weren't even born yet when Tom Cruise started playing Ethan Hunt. So that's insane to me. I love that this action series is just continuing on. They do such a great job of it. In a world that we live in now where so many action scenes in movies are very heavily based on CGI, I really appreciate a movie like this one because you're getting some real stunt work done by the actual lead actor, Tom Cruise, who does most of his own stunt work. You can have your opinion about his personal life. I'm sure a lot of you are not in favor of a lot of his actions and decision makings, but damn it, when it comes to the big screen, when it comes to the big screen, he's got to be. I got a lot of respect for him, and Henry Cavill too.
Dude, that mustache alone makes this movie a B. Like, say what you will about the shitty CGI removing the mustache in Justice League. I wouldn't want to shave that mustache either. That mustache was amazing.
Yeah, that was a power stash for sure.
And I will say, dude, it's got one of my favorite action scenes in the last 5 years. That bathroom fight, like, the hype is real on that shit. It's so amazingly intense. Good.
And it's, like, dead quiet the whole time, so you just hear, like, the crazy sound effects. Such a good fight.
Oh, I love that movie.
Cool. So that was number 10. Moving right along here. Number 9. This is the only animated movie I think I got here. So I was kind of like, I want to put one animated movie in for sure. There was a couple I really liked. I mentioned Isle of Dogs. The other one that absolutely blew me away when I went to go see it was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah!
Straight up, this movie was incredible. For so many different reasons. I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the directors who did this were actually the same directors that were fired from doing the Han Solo movie. Is that correct?
Yep, Lord Miller. Which
Yeah, so I mean, look what a mistake that apparently was. Not that.
Dude, seriously.
Yeah, not that I thought Solo was terrible or anything.
I enjoyed Solo.
But this is just, it has everything you would want in a big popcorn flick. So Sony was brilliant to get these guys on board and greenlight this. Seems like they made plenty of money. That was smart.
Greenlight a sequel.
Yeah, so that's awesome. But the animation style was definitely the highlight of the movie for me, just because I'd never seen it before. It was like a mix between a Disney Pixar and like a Japanese anime. I mean, it was incredible. It was stunning to watch on screen, on the big screen. The voice acting. I mean, you got Mahershala Ali in this too. I mean, the dude is everywhere. So that's cool to see him like in all facets. Just doing an amazing job on all fronts. Big fan of Mahershala. Jake Johnson as the washed up,
so good,
fat Peter Parker was hilarious.
Which people keep bringing up how fat he is.
Yeah, and then Shamik Moore, the dude voicing Miles. I mean, he was from Dope, right? Is that where we know him from? So, he does an incredible job. So all the voice acting's great. You know, you got John Mulaney thrown in there. You got Nicolas Cage.
Spider-Pig.
Yeah, Spider-Pig. You got Nicolas Cage doing Spider-Man Noir. It was just, the whole thing was... Oh, and Chris Pine was like the good, handsome, like well put together Peter Parker.
As well he should be.
So I'm glad. I hope Jake Johnson will always know that like the better version of him is Chris Pine. Like according to movie studios. So that's funny. I had a blast with this. It was a great story. There were some good twists and turns in there. Very compelling. It was borderline. Borderline, I liked it better than Homecoming, which is insane to me to even think that an animated movie could outdo, a full budget live action Marvel movie. But it was that good.
That's fair.
All right. So we're going into number 8 here. So one of your honorable mentions, I loved A Simple Favor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great film.
Watched it a couple times. I think Paul Feig, who did it, very well done. He's clearly extremely witty and knows how to direct good banter between on-screen talent.
Sometimes.
What are you referring to?
I was referring to Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah. You brought up that. Yeah. Right. So everybody has their swings and misses, but
everybody gets one.
Yeah. Hey, in baseball, you only have to bat 300 to be really good.
You know what? That's a fair point. And I did love Spy, so
yeah, there you go. So he has his hits and misses, but Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, they were great on screen together. The movie just has like so much. Like quick wit, it's fun. It's got twists and turns. You never know where the movie's going. It was really hard for me to predict what was going to happen next, which I always appreciate because in the time we live in now, where everything's been done and before, and my subconscious is constantly like going back on all the movies I've seen as a kid and up till this point, and I'm just like, where have you seen this scene before? Because everything's been done. So I appreciated this movie for kind of keeping me on my toes. I always appreciate that. Some of my first loves of movies were always movies with crazy twists and turns in them, like Primal Fear, Usual Suspects, Fight Club, all these movies that really just like, hit you in the teeth with a twist. I love it. So this one did a great job. So yeah, that was number 8. Number 7, you were just talking about it, 8th Grade.
Yes. That made your list.
Yes. 8th Grade is so good. It was like, hard to watch at times, but it was hard to watch at times because I felt like it was so real. Like, I was just like, God, it's like I'm watching a documentary. It's like, this seems like a real thing that would be happening. I was like, I can't believe, how well these young kids are acting. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Bo Burnham, right? That was the dude. Yeah, so you got to give a lot of credit to Bo. He did a great job with this. You got to give a ton of credit to the lead actress,
Elsie Fisher.
Yeah, Elsie Fisher. I mean, for her to have the courage to do this role, after going through a screenplay and really looking through all of the things that she has to do, and the close-ups. When most girls would not want to even have a picture taken of them, in their awkward younger ages when they have acne and whatnot. I know I didn't when I had a lot of acne as a kid and in junior high, and I certainly wouldn't want to be on a big screen, let alone a picture taken of me. So she deserves a lot of credit for the courage that she showed by doing this movie. And I mean, just the story. If you want to get an idea of how kids get their information today and how much YouTube is a influence on our society, I mean, this movie will scare the hell out of you.
Dude, like the fact that you can search on YouTube how to give a blowjob.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh god. Like I'll be honest with you, I went, oh god, the best sister ever. Oh god, and I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, oh fuck, I don't like thinking about this. Like,
yeah. So that's crazy to me to think of kids like being educated online because there's so much misinformation out there. So the movie was really eye-opening for me in that respect. So I mean, in so many different facets, I thought this was like an important film to watch. I thought it was entertaining. It was moving. She finally stopped being a bitch to her dad at the end. Thank God.
she was a bitch to her dad.
Yeah. And he was such a sweetheart. I love the dad. But yeah, it was just a great movie. I've watched it a couple times now that it's been out, and I'll probably watch it a few more times. It's that good.
All that.
Number 6, dude. This movie surprised me. This movie, like, I heard it was coming out, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, given the fact of who the director was, and who wrote it. And I'm talking about a little horror movie that came out called A Quiet Place.
Oh,
dude,
that's a great call.
Dude, A Quiet Place is crazy. It was definitely the most surprising movie in a good way to me last year, for sure. Mostly because I heard like, oh, Jim Halpert's directing his own movie that he helped co-write, and it's a horror movie. That's even crazier than or as crazy as Jordan Peele making Get Out originally. It's just like a complete 180 from like his how his career started. And then it got a lot of buzz being that it was good. And man, I'm telling you, when I went and saw this movie in theaters, it was a packed theater. And the entire movie, you can like hear a pin drop. Like people like wouldn't even breathe loud because it was just so intense. And the feeling that I had watching this movie in a crowded theater was not like any feeling I probably had gotten watching any other horror movie. In that it was just relentlessly tense the whole time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like overkill to the point where I wasn't, very involved in the story and how this was possibly going to work out. Because in a situation like the situation that they're in, where they're in a post-apocalyptic universe where they are now hunted down by these monsters that basically are blind and can only find you if you make noise. First of all, that's a great concept. That's just insane nightmare stuff. And then the fact that it's a family, like a mom and dad with young children trying to navigate this new post-apocalyptic world. I mean, like to say that you had a lot invested, and the movie starts you off like boom, it's not that much of a spoiler, but I will say spoiler alert, just fast forward the next 10 seconds, but the kid just gets killed right at the start of the movie. So you know how big the stakes are right from the get-go. But yeah, I had to put it on here, and once I put it on the list, I just kept bumping it up because I was like, damn, man, that was like a once in a long time experience being in that theater watching that movie. So yeah, that was number 6, man.
That's fair, man. So I will say, a regret of mine is I did not see A Quiet Place in theaters. I saw it at home, and I really wish I had been in the audience to watch that because, God, I adore the hell out of that movie. And dude, Jim Halpert, John Krasinski, he is great as Jack Ryan. Like that was something I went, oh shit, okay. So If you haven't watched Jack Ryan on Amazon, I highly recommend it. It's a great fucking show. So, just throwing that out there real quick. So, my number 5 through 2. My number 5, ding ding, Creed 2, baby. Fucking love Creed 2. Michael B. Jordan, man. You just want to talk about, like, he had a hell of a year last year as Killmonger, and then he goes back as Adonis Creed. Sylvester Stallone, man, I don't know if he got hit in the head or what happened, but it was almost like he woke up and went, oh yeah, I'm a pretty good actor when I try. So he went back to being Rocky Balboa, and the kind of the surrogate, like, father-son relationship that works between Creed and Balboa is so fucking amazing. Tessa Thompson, she's becoming one of my favorite people in Hollywood, period. Not only is she just a goddess, oh my god, whenever I see her, but the chemistry that her and Michael B. Jordan have is off the page. And to date someone with that big of an ego, which Creed clearly has, you have to be a strong woman. And she checks him a couple times in the movie and went, okay, girl, like, fair enough, like, you go ahead. Like, I love their chemistry, and the fight scenes are just mwah. You want to talk about just something being so freaking good, and somehow, and I will say this, I think it's better than the first Creed. I actually like this more than I like the first Creed, which is saying something.
Yeah, saying a lot.
And the fact that they switched directors. This isn't Ryan Coogler. Coogler is only a producer on this. This is Stephen Caple Jr. And I did not, and you said it in the review, man, you didn't notice the difference? I didn't notice the difference. I went, how the hell is this two different people? Like, it was insane how good this was directed. And the Dolph Lundgren was great in this. I was like, oh shit, Dolph Lundgren, hell yeah. And the actual boxer who's in this, I'm gonna butcher your name, sir. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. Florian Matteo. Yeah, we'll go with that. As a Victor Drago. Good God, that man is like a tank. I was terrified whenever he was on screen. I was like, oh my God, to take a punch from him. And Michael B. Jordan apparently did his own stunts. I was like, good grief, just taking a punch from that giant man, like, hurts me for you. So, yeah, love Creed 2. That's my number 5. My number 4, I think, is one of my favorite documentaries I've ever seen. It's Won't You Be My Neighbor? I will say, in the very politically charged climate that we are currently in right now, it was really good to see something that's just pure, to be honest with you. And, I don't know, for those of you who've watched Leaving Neverland, which I have not watched yet, so no spoilers, but it was really good to hear that Mr. Rogers just wasn't a goon or, like, drowned cats or whatever fucking terrible things that we'll hear about my next favorite celebrity. It was just good to see something about a guy who cared about people, wanted to bring people together, wanted to educate people, and use TV as the tool that, especially public access, that I really think it was initially intended to be before, it turned into what it is. It's really interesting if you go back and watch old Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood episodes, which I definitely have. They're on Amazon Prime. It's an incredibly important show. I remember watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Reading Rainbow back to back, and that really, as a kid, was so important for me. And people kind of laugh when I say that. Mr. Rogers was my shit back in the day, and Mr. Rogers was a very important part of my life. I remember when he died, I was like, oh fucking A. And, I mentioned this, we haven't reviewed it yet, we need to, but, again, it's maybe the most upset I've been all last year when there was that Fox News story about how Mr. Rogers set up this generation to fail. It's like, wow, as if I couldn't fucking hate Fox News enough, like, even more. Mr. Rogers was an incredible person, and we could use some more Mr. Rogers just in general right now. I would really encourage kids who are, 2021, who I would not expect you to remember Mr. Rogers, but, you should go back and watch that show. Like I said, it's on Amazon Prime. It's an amazing show, and above all else, it's positive. And again, we could really use some positivity right now. So that's my number 4. My number 3 is the movie I believe should have won Best Picture at the Oscars. It is BlacKkKlansman. My number 3. Spike Lee has created the best film he's ever made. But Hunter, what about Malcolm X? Let me say it again. Spike Lee has created the best film he's ever fucking made. You look at Topher Grace as David Duke. David Duke, right? Not
that sounds right. Yeah,
it's David Duke. It is David Duke because I almost said David Dunn. I was like, no, that's Unbreakable.
Oh no, it's definitely Duke.
Yeah, David Duke. But Topher Grace, man, what a performance! I understood why everyone got their Oscar nominations. I really wish they could have expanded the field one more for Best Supporting Actor because Topher Grace deserved a nomination for playing David Duke. He was amazing in the movie. John David Washington, Denzel's kid. What? You're a great actor like your dad. Why am I surprised by this? The movie is so well shot. Music is used so well to enhance certain scenes, to make you upset about other scenes. The score is absolutely incredible. Seeing Adam Driver, dude, I know some people give him shit for Kylo Ren. I think he's doing the best with some subpar material at points, just throwing that out there. But Adam Driver was great in this. And between this and Logan Lucky, he's had a really good couple years. I mean, I'm taking Star Wars out of it. I thought Adam Driver was just was fantastic in it. And the action in the movie is shot so well. The dialogue is freaking witty and it snaps with how good it is. And an ending that I don't know if you remember this. If you have me on Facebook, you probably remember I posted this. I posted basically, if you're a Trump supporter, you're really going to hate the end of this movie. And one of my Facebook adversary, Bill, was like, I'm a Trump supporter. I think I'll like the end of it. And I was like, I promise you won't. And like the end of this it's spicy. But Spike Lee made an unapologetically black film that expressed the frustration of not just a lot of people, but most black people, I would say, in America right now, who are just like, fuck. So I absolutely love BlacKkKlansman. That is my number 3. My number 2, and Colin, I want to make sure you're not drinking anything. You're not drinking anything right now, right?
No.
Because I don't want you to do a spit take from this being my number 2.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
I'm crossing my arms right now because I'm throwing up Wakanda Forever. It is Black Panther. That is my number 2. I'm going to be honest with you,
I'm
dude.
so curious for what your number 1 is now.
I'm going to be honest, dude. I had this locked in at my number 1 as of maybe a week ago. And I went back and I rewatched the movie that is my number 1. I went, fuck, I really do love this movie. Like, and again, I could switch out my top 3. I was switching those out pretty much every day. Like, fuck, which one did I like more? Chadwick Boseman, I mean, Jackie Robinson in 42 played Thurgood Marshall. Chadwick Boseman is one of the best actors we have working right now. Lupita Nyong'o, of course, who, if you haven't seen Us, check out a review of Us. It's pretty great. She's an amazing actress, and we do not deserve Lupita at all. She's just she's amazing in it. And then you look at Letitia Wright as Shuri, really having a big breakout role. Stan Lee's cameo in Black Panther, that's one of my favorite cameos he's done. I went, oh shit, okay. And Michael B. Jordan, man, who I think is the best comic book villain since the Joker as Killmonger. He was terrifying. He was heartless, but in a weird way, you kind of went, well, I get what he's trying to do. He just has a very bad method about going about it. And the fact that Angela, oh my God, why am I blanking up? Not Angela Houston. That's not right. Angela Bassett. There we go. The fact that she's in her 60s, good Lord, that woman is just, she's beautiful, and just even getting someone at that cachet and that tier to be in a Marvel film, even in a small role, just really spoke volumes for how big that film was. It's got one of the best soundtracks I've heard ever. Again, representation is so important for this movie, and just seeing a bunch of black people be directed by Ryan Coogler. This is what he did instead of Creed 2. I think he made the right decisions. Did make over $1 billion. This is an incredibly important film. I can't wait for Black Panther 2. Guria as Okoye, of course, you know her as Michonne from Walking Dead. She's a badass in this. The way that African culture is celebrated, but mixed with that Afro-futurism. The movie's incredible. It really is an incredible film. But there was just one film I liked more. So, yeah, that's my number 2. Colin, go ahead. Your 522, sir.
How good did that feel to just have a nice open platform to talk about how great Black Panther was?
Yeah, I can. When people ask me why I like Black Panther, it's like, oh, how much time you got?
Yeah.
I'll give you the short version or the black version. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was impressed that this top 10 podcast didn't turn into an hour and a half with like 40 minutes of Black Panther.
Oh, right? Thanks.
Yeah, because I know you could have.
I could. Oh, easily.
So let me run an idea past you. See if this would be cool with you. I'm so curious about your number 1, and I feel like my number 1's going to be a little more anticlimactic. Is it cool with you if I just do my 5 and then we'll save the best for last?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so everybody will be waiting in anticipation of Hunter's number 1, because what could possibly beat Black Panther? Okay.
All right, so I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I had a Black Panther at my number 1 as of February. I was like, all right, everything else...
No, wait. Do your number 1 after I do my 5.
Oh, pardon me. Okay,
sorry,
my bad.
That was my idea, so we could end the podcast with the bang of what the hell could that be.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood you. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and... what are we at, everybody? Looks like we're at 51 minutes right now. Very nice. Hope you've enjoyed every minute so far. I'm gonna run through these with a nice pace here, so we can kind of get to Hunter. But my number 5 here. This movie was another one that really surprised me. I didn't really have any expectations of it ever even making a top 10, let alone even being in like the running. But after I watched it, I mean, I was really, really drawn to it. And it may surprise you, but my number 5 is Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. This was the new movie from Gus Van Sant. It's starring...
How do I know that title?
It was actually, I think, bought by Amazon, so it was like an Amazon movie. It's free to watch on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Gus Van Sant, who did Good Will Hunting and Milk with Sean Penn. He's done lots of pretty highly acclaimed movies. His new one here is a biopic on the artist John Callahan, who his life story basically is this. He was a pretty heavy substance abuser with alcohol. He was in a terrible accident and basically was paralyzed for the rest of his life.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so after he's paralyzed, his alcoholism just gets worse. And he falls into this spiral of substance abuse and woe is me, like I got dealt the shittiest hand, type of mentality. But what this story really is how no matter how dark of a hole, how far you can fall, with the right help and the right attitude, you can overcome anything. So it's a pretty powerful story, I thought. It has some dark humor mixed in there, but the part of the movie that really kind of stayed with me was this kind of help group, kind of Alcoholics Anonymous type of group, but it was a small group that would meet at someone's house, and that someone was a recovering alcoholic played by Jonah Hill. His character Donnie, who is the leader of this discussion group of people trying to, overcome their alcoholism. His character is brilliant. The entire group is just so fun. The banter between them all, and the way that this movie tackles the issues of forgiveness, of redemption, of overcoming adversity, all of those things was just really powerful, and it really lasted with me. So when I was getting time to create this list, I was like, I got to put it on there, and the more I thought about it, it really kind of started climbing the list. So yeah, that was my number 5. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot. Highly recommend it.
Okay, dude. I remember seeing that on my list. I'm gonna actually watch that because your recommendation. I'm curious on that now.
Yeah, check it out. I think it's a good watch. All right, so number 4. So this movie I felt like was very snubbed by lots of people when it came to the Oscars. So it made me very sad, but yes, the movie is First Man for number 4. And it was director Damien Chazelle's follow-up from La La Land, and it was a story that Hunter and I reviewed this, and I can understand where you were coming from, Hunter. I feel like that was the opinion of a good amount of mainstream audiences that saw this movie, in that it is slow. It's a little bit lacking in maybe the intense dramatic scenes and intense moments throughout some of the movie. But this movie was fascinating to me. It really gave me a new respect for our astronauts that originally were trying to get to the moon in this uncertain time of the Cold War and everything that was going on back in the late 60s. I thought it was a good time capsule movie, really something that you could look back on and appreciate history in a way that, reading something in a book or watching a, kind of a stuffy documentary wouldn't accomplish. But it was still very true to its source material, to its time that it was in, to the point where, you could really respect the time and effort that went into the care in which went into keeping this as authentic as it could be to the history.
That opening scene is incredible.
Yeah, there are some very incredible scenes that deserved. It did get some technical Oscars. I think it was sound editing, something like that.
So it actually won, and it's funny, I was going to bring this up. So I remember when they were doing Oscar nominations and it was Best Visual Effects, people were like, oh, dude, Infinity War's a lock. And I was like, no, I think Best Man's going to win it. So when Best Man won for Best Visual Effects, First Man, pardon me. When First Man won for Best Visual Effects, I had a bunch of people text me and go, dude, I'm sure you're mad. I was like, no. I thought visually this movie, all the technical shit on this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it did deserve at least another Oscar, because I thought it was beautifully done. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point to bring up, is that it didn't get any Oscar nominations as far as like directing, writing, acting, anything like that, but it did get a lot of appreciation from the Academy as far as technical stuff went. And I think that's just that's just another thing that draws me to this movie, is the technical stuff Damien Chazelle showed. It's some really impressive camera work in ways that don't heavily rely on CGI, kind of taking the forefront of it. So visually, it's a very beautiful movie. But yeah, and Ryan Gosling is basically, I have a giant man crush on him, and I want him to win an Oscar one day. And God damn it, he will one day. Damn it.
He'll probably win. He'll probably win it sooner than Leo won his first one.
Oh God, I don't know. Isn't Edward Norton still like? Isn't he never gonna get one at this point? Probably.
Oh, yeah, you would have thought for American History X he would have gotten it, but
yeah, I know. I love him. Anyway, yeah. So Ryan Gosling, I love you. He's probably the main reason I actually like this movie. So anyway, getting to number 3. This movie is charming and wonderful, and just ended up meaning a lot to me by the end of it. But The Old Man and the Gun.
Dude, yes!
Dude, number 3 is The Old Man and the Gun. I
love that movie.
Yeah, I absolutely adore this movie. And I was thinking, I was like, there's a lot of reasons on the surface to like about this movie. It's just incredibly charming. Basically, Robert Redford just carries the whole movie with his charm. I was watching him. I was like, I feel like he's the only person that I could watch on screen stick some poor woman up at a bank, and at the end of it, he walks out with the money, and I'm just like, he was a nice guy. I could. I don't really feel like he committed a crime there. I think he was just he was a good dude.
He was just being charming, whatever.
Yeah, but honestly, watching Robert Redford still acting, doing an incredible job. He just looks full of life still. I don't know. That was just like really heartwarming to me. Growing up as a kid, he was one of my dad's favorite actors, and my dad was never necessarily like the hugest cinephile or anything, but he had a very specific taste. And Robert Redford typically was in like all of the movies that he loved. Like, oh, really? Yeah, like whether he was like in those old kind of political thrillers, or All the President's Men, or Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I do love All the President's Men.
Yeah, All the President's Men is incredible. The Natural. Like I feel like I just like have this all these memories of watching Robert Redford like on my TV as a kid. So, like, to be watching him now in this just really lighthearted, fun, yet, pretty dramatic movie, I don't know. I just, like, I had a smile on my face. I feel like the whole time I was watching this movie, I was just like, you know what? This was just delightful. It's like got car chases and bank robberies and outwitting the cops and all this fun stuff. And at the end of it, I was just like, you know what? Damn it! I can't think of too many movies that I liked more than that this year. So yeah, it climbed all the way up to number 3 on my list.
I love that.
Okay, so my final 2 you already talked about, so I'll just add a little bit to each one. But number 2. Fittingly is Creed 2.
Oh my God, that was number 2.
Dude, I know.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, but isn't Creed 2 so good?
Creed 2, so the thing is, sequelitis is totally a thing. So I was really worried heading to Creed 2. I was like, oh no, oh God. And dude, so I know, sorry, let me just, for a moment here.
Yeah, go for it.
When Tessa Thompson sings Michael B. Jordan out to the ring, I had goosebumps. I was like, holy shit, it's on, baby. Like, I was in my seat, like, get him, Creed, get drunk. Yeah, like, dude, love that scene, man. And,
so good.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, when the first Creed came out, I was pretty excited, but I had no idea really what to think, because it was, it's like, what's it going to be? Obviously, everyone was excited that Ryan Coogler was doing it. Yep. He had done Fruitvale Station, I think, right before Creed.
Correct.
And Fruitvale Station was very good, and it was also with Michael B. Jordan, so he clearly knew how to work well with him. So you knew that Creed was going to bring like a new edge to the Rocky series, and it really did. I don't think I realized how good Sylvester Stallone was going to be in Creed.
Right?
Because like you kind of knew Michael B. Jordan was going to be great because we just saw him and Ryan Coogler kill it in Fruitvale Station. But then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, Stallone is like so moving and good in this movie. And you just get more of all of that in Creed 2. Like, it just continues on. But let me tell you, when the first trailer dropped and you're watching it, and at the very end of that trailer, when you see the dude, Drago.
Yes.
When I saw Drago, I can't even express, like, the goosebumps on my arm were, like, giant.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I think I watched Rocky 4 more than any other Rocky movie when I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah, because it was on TBS like every weekend. Like they like the movies I watched the most as a kid were probably like Back to the Future, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jurassic Park, Rocky, but like mostly Rocky 4. And because all of those were on like the Turner networks, and I would just be like, that was like the easiest thing to do on a Saturday. Like if I wasn't playing video games, I'd be like trolling through the movies and see which movies I wanted to check out.
That's fair.
And yeah, so Rocky 4, I don't know, there's just like this like really funny 80s nostalgia to it as well. But yeah, to have Dolph Lundgren coming back with Ivan Drago, and then he has his son who's the Russian killer again. The story was just so good. And the fact that it's, Drago killed Creed's dad. I mean, it was the most obvious, like, once I saw it was Drago, I was like, oh, this is the obvious choice for a sequel. I'm glad they went this route. It was very smart. And it all just plays out super well. Like, I don't know. There's something about watching boxing on the big screen. It's just so much better than watching real boxing. But it's inherently very dramatic because, at any moment an underdog can win by knocking the other dude out. So it always provides for great drama, and it did not disappoint. Incredible experience in the theater watching that movie. Okay, so number 2. All right, so I'm going to jump right into my number 1, and then we'll all get to find out finally what movie could possibly beat Black Panther for Hunter's number 1. So my number 1, you have actually already talked about it on your list. Okay. Which one is
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about, I guess, a little bit of kind of political stuff that people were angry about it winning what it did win at the Academy Awards. But for me, this movie, I didn't really know anything about who directed it or what it was really, other than it was just getting a lot of nominations for the awards. And I went and saw it, and I just had the best time of the year watching this movie all year long. And that movie was Green Book. I absolutely...
Damn, number 1.
I loved it. I thought the Academy got it right this year. I loved Green Book. I thought the story was so wholesome, and like when it really came down to it, with Viggo Mortensen's character, Tony Lip, and Mahershala Ali's Dr. Donald Shirley. I mean, I thought these were 2 classic characters, 2 classic movie characters, I'm going to remember Tony Lip and Dr. Donald Shirley like a decade from now and just think back on this movie and being like, dude, that was an absolute classic. I think the story of understanding and acceptance and loyalty that develops between these 2 guys is really like, I don't know. I just thought it was really powerful, especially for a time where people are so divisive and so quick to judge. I thought the entirety of this movie of these 2 men being in close quarters with each other that couldn't be more different, and finding a true friendship and a true understanding of each other and acceptance. I was like, that's the type of shit I wish everybody could, really understand. The person that they're arguing with online and saying horrible things to. I'm like, if you just would understand people and just accept people, not to sound cheesy, but like, this world wouldn't be like in a hole of shit right now. So I mean, like, I thought this was like the most important movie of the year, but unfortunately, I guess there was still a lot of negative things that was kind of started becoming the forefront of what people were talking about instead of really talking about the movie. And to me, that was disappointing. But I think whenever you get a movie that wins Oscar Best Movie, you're gonna have a lot of haters. It's just natural. But for
true.
me, I usually don't typically agree with the academies with what their number one pick is, but this year it just happened to overlap. And I had Green Book being my number one movie like well before there was any indication that it was going to win.
That's fair.
So that's it, man. That was my movie. I absolutely adored it. I think Vigo and Mahershala, classic duo for the ages.
All right, man. So, my number one film. As I mentioned, I had Black Panther locked at number one. I was like, "Yep, nothing's gonna come out. Not even worried about it. Black Panther's number one. People won't be surprised. I won't be surprised. It'll be fine." Until December, and my number one favorite film came out, and I have talked a lot of shit about this company and how they've handled this character. And I was, to be completely honest, Colin, this is the word I would use. I was petrified when Sony said, "Hey, we're going to go ahead and do this." And I went, "This is a horrible fucking idea."
Now I see.
This is a horrible fucking idea. You're going to butcher this character. My number one favorite film of this past year is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
Bottom line, dude. If you allow me a couple minutes here, when Brian Michael Bendis, who's now writing for DC Comics, which is a shame, but he's created two of my favorite characters in the history of Marvel Comics. That's Jessica Jones, who's had two really great seasons on Netflix, and Alias Jessica Jones, which you should read if you haven't, and Miles Morales. He said point blank that he wanted, I want to say it was his son and daughter, I want to say. He wanted them to have a Spider-Man that looked like them, that they could relate to. And I remember the amount of fucking hate mail that Marvel got, and oh my god, it's pandering, like, I remember just the hatred that came Bendis' way. And then, Miles Morales' run as Spider-Man has become one of the most successful runs of a comic book hero for Marvel, especially one of the best critically acclaimed and one of the best most bought and supported characters in the last decade. Miles Morales is an incredibly important character to me because the first character I remember really falling in love with as far as being a big superhero nerd was Spider-Man. I mean, the X-Men were right there because, they had the Fox show, but there was that original Spider-Man Fox show that I love that show to this day. So when they said, "Hey, we're doing a half black, half Hispanic Miles Morales," I went, "Okay, I'm curious how this is going to work." And Into the Spider-Verse, the animation style is just top notch. They've already greenlit a sequel, thank God. That means I get to see more of this. You mentioned it earlier. Chris Pine as the super handsome, knows what he's doing. Peter Parker / Spider-Man. He was great. Jake Johnson playing the fat. I know how to do this, but I'm really lazy and I don't want to. Like, playing that Peter Parker was just hilarious. Haley Steinfeld did a great job as Gwen Stacy. She was actually in another honorable mention for me in Bumblebee. Haley Steinfeld was great in that, and she's great as Gwen Stacy here. The scene where Miles puts on his version of the Spider-Man outfit. So two quick things on that. One, if you look at the canon, like based on the comics, Miles' costume is basically the original Spider-Man costume, but it's just black and red. The whole graffiti aspect is something that they made specific for the movie, and apparently that's now canon because Marvel loved that decision so much to go ahead and kind of personalize it more to Miles. This is an incredibly important film, and I remember seeing this on a Friday night the first time. I actually saw this 3 times, actually, in theaters. Because I went and saw it opening weekend, then I took a lady to go see it, and then it was like Tuesday, and I was like, I'm going to see this again. But the scene where Miles suits up for the first time, and they're playing that song, What's Up, Danger, it still gets me hyped. It gets me insanely hyped. But the first time I saw it, and I know this is becoming a joke on the podcast, I was crying so hard. I was trying to like muffle my cries. I was like, oh god, I'm crying way too hard in this. It's an incredibly well done movie. And then Liev Schreiber as Kingpin, and they make Kingpin look horrifying. By the way, if I was 6 and I saw Kingpin in this, I'd go, oh fuck, okay. It's a really funny movie. John Mulaney as Spider-Pig is just one of the funniest fucking things. Like, that was...
I love Spider-Pig.
That was such a great surprise, and I'm going to say it, and I know I might be putting bad juju out there. I want a Nicolas Cage Spider-Man noir movie. I want a full Spider-Man noir movie, because one of my favorite lines all last year is when there's a point where they're trying to get back to their their own realities, and Spider-Man noir goes, I love you all. I love you all. And I'm taking this. And he holds up this Rubik's Cube. He's like, I don't understand it, but I will. It's like, yes, everything that just happened.
Nick Cage.
Yeah, it really did take me back to Big Daddy, Kick-Ass Nick Cage, where I went, oh my god, he's so good in this. Like, give me more Nick Cage. Like, he was great in this. And I believe you mentioned it earlier. That was Shamik Moore, right?
Yeah.
Miles.
Yeah,
who played Miles? He was great in the role. I mean, and it really is that classic hero's journey of him getting bit by a spider. It leads to a lot of hilarious slapstick as far as him going, "Oh God, what the fuck am I doing?"
I like his dad, the cop, too.
Yeah, his dad was great. His mom was actually Lieutenant LaGuerta from Dexter, Lauren Valdez, I don't say what her last name is.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, and I thought she was great too. It's crazy to see the animation style, how that blends together, and the Stan Lee tribute at the end for the mid-credit scene, I just thought was so fucking well done. And that made me cry all over again. I was like, Stan, we miss you. And I remember when people, and as if I don't have enough to give Stan Lee just love and credit for, I remember when a lot of people were just freaking out about Miles Morales. And you could make an argument, I think it's a very easy argument to make, that Spider-Man is Stan Lee's best creation. Him and Jack Kirby, by the way. But Stan Lee said, oh yeah, I totally support Miles being a part of Marvel. Like, I'm excited to see what Bendis does with him. Like, Stan Lee signed off when he really didn't need to. Stan Lee was, chilling.
He's just a good guy.
And Stan Lee understood that diversity is something that helps drive comics. I mean, fuck, he helped create Black Panther. I mean, like, did you think he'd go, oh no? Like, Stan Lee understood, how important this was. And like I said, the Stan Lee cameo in the movie is great. The mid credits, sort of tribute to Stan Lee is so well done. And this was I want to say it was Phil Lord who wrote and directed it. I think Miller was a producer on it, I want to say, but it was this combination. I know, Colin. It's funny you talked about the show before. I've actually gone back and watched some more of The Last Man on Earth. That's a great fucking show. That should have gotten another season. Like
Will Forte is so incredible.
Like he really is.
He's just like the worst person to be the last person on Earth.
Yeah, and Jeremy Jones is really good on there. And I love me some Jeremy Jones, but and Kristen Shaw, like, it's a really great show. And so when you find out Lord Miller did that, it's like, well, yeah, of course they did. and Jason Sudeikis is on there. It's a really great show, and this movie checked every box for me. It had great action scenes. Again, the suit up scene. It's in my top 3 favorite suit up scenes in all comic book movies.
That song they play right then too is dope.
Yeah, What's Up Danger is a fucking amazing. Like I could not believe how good this all worked, and a very, again, this is me nerding the hell out on this because I kind of condensed it on Black Panther. There's that scene earlier in the movie where Miles is basically wearing like the hand-me-down Spider-Man costume. You know, it's like baggy on him, it doesn't fit at all. And when Miles goes to suit up, Aunt May, one of the first things she says is, "Oh, here are your web shooters. They fit perfectly." I love that callback so much that he literally grew into the role of Spider-Man. I was like, "Yep, this movie's fucking wonderful." I have so much admiration for this film. Now, I will be the first to admit, Sony is doing a Morbius movie starring Jared Leto. I am not as confident in that movie as I am the Spider-Verse sequel that we're getting, but Sony's earned the right to take another shot on Spider-Man just off this movie alone. I actually like this as much as I like Homecoming, which I never thought I would say. Like, because I was talking shit about this movie. It's like, oh, whatever, it's gonna suck. It's Sony, but nah, man. They've created a truly brilliant comic book film. So, yeah, that's my number one, man.
Well done, Sony.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm even saying that about comic book film with them. But, yeah, man. Like I said, I had a Black Panther locked. And I was sitting here watching them both. I actually went back and I've rewatched both films start to finish twice in the last month. I was like, and yeah, man, Spider-Verse, it's by a hair, it's by a panther claw, but it is just slightly better for me than Black Panther is. So yeah, man, it's my number one.
Nice, I love it. Yeah, I forgot all about that one, but we kind of did a similar thing. You had Green Book low on your top 10. It made my number one, and I had Spider-Man low on my top 10, made your number one. Funny how that worked out, but I totally respect it. I think it's awesome. Like, Spider-Man was seriously such a good movie. Like, and it was such a delightful surprise.
Yeah, and that's the perfect word for it, because I was not expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be good, maybe not as great as it ended up being. And as you mentioned, Mahershala playing Aaron, who ends up being the Prowler. Which, fun fact, that's who Donald Glover's character in Homecoming, that's who he becomes.
Yeah, that's right. I remember in Homecoming, he's just like, "Oh yeah, I got a nephew around town." He was talking about Miles, right? Oh
my god, I love you so much for bringing that up. Like,
well, because I saw Homecoming after I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I think I remember you saying at one point, like a long time ago, that that's who he was he was this, the Miles' uncle. And then when he said that line, I was like, oh shit, he's talking about Miles Morales. I love it.
Yeah, I'm so happy you just brought that up. That's made me very happy. I'm like, you're so nerdy.
So I mean, like, I guess we're gonna get Donald Glover as the Prowler at some point.
I hope so. I pray we get that, because I would love to see that. And there's a scene where Miles is trying to get he goes to visit Uncle Aaron, and he sees him in the Prowler costume, and that scene is so tense. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Yeah, man.
And his uncle was such a good dude at the start of the movie. He took him in the sewer to go do some graffiti, to kind of like help him get over some stuff he was going through. He was like being the best uncle, and then you're just like hit you like a ton of bricks. You're like, oh no, he's a bad guy.
So I was sitting next to some people who, because that happens in the comics too. So I was sitting next to people. I was like, oh, I can't wait for them to. And I remember this guy was with his kids, and it looked like he tried to cover his ears, but they clearly still heard that when you get that reveal, the dad just went, "God damn it, Uncle Aaron!" I laughed so hard. He was just like, "Oh, like why would you do that to Miles?" But yeah, man, I love that movie, man. So if you have not seen Into the Spider-Verse for some reason, first off, you should. Secondly, I actually have the art book for Into the Spider-Verse coming to me tomorrow. I bought that maybe a month ago, and they've been out of stock. So I am stoked to get the art book on that tomorrow. So that will be my before bed reading tomorrow. It's looking at pictures. But guys, what are your top 10 favorite films? I've read a lot of interesting top 10 best of. I've seen some people have Bohemian Rhapsody at number 1. I didn't mention this in my honorable mentions. I really enjoyed The Favorite. I enjoyed the hell out of
I
that
did too.
movie.
I have that on my honorable mentions too. I thought that movie was great.
Yeah, and and I'm not a huge person for historical dramas. Like, they can definitely go up and it's usually I love them or I hate them. It's usually no middle ground. But it kind of filled that Darkest Hour role for me. I went, okay, this is some historical that's really connecting with me. I just couldn't find a spot for it. So yeah, really enjoyed The Favorite.
But for the record, I had Black Klansman, and I also had Vice and Can You Ever Forgive Me on my, but they didn't quite make it.
Yeah, I had a Disobedience, which was really great. Vice was number 13. It was right there. I won't even lie. I had Tag number 15.
Dude, I want to show you my list right now because I have Tag on here.
Dude, yeah, I love Tag.
I've watched Tag probably more than any other movie just because I will just put it on randomly in the background and not really pay attention to it. But there's so many funny scenes you can start watching at any point and you'll laugh.
So there's a scene in Tag when John Hamm tries to escape his office and throws a chair at his window. And I haven't laughed that hard. I was laughing for about 5 minutes after the joke even landed. I was like, oh my God. John Hamm just commits the bit. I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. John Hamm, love this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Tag, you should watch Tag. I really enjoyed the hell out of Tag. But, guys, your top 10, let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can go ahead and follow us and like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at jhunterrealpineapple. You can follow Scott on Twitter, who's going to be making his return here in the next couple weeks. I'm stoked, at Nearmanthefirst. You can follow Colin on Twitter at
Thereeloneal.
And you can like us on, all right, here comes the list. You can go ahead and subscribe and follow us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean, and SoundCloud. I think I said iTunes twice, but that's fine. At The Real Pineapple. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll have reviews up this weekend for Dumbo. I have not decided if I'm going to go see Unplanned or not. I feel like I'll just be angry if I watch that, but...
Remind me what that one is.
That Unplanned is the new, Christian movie from the same people who did God's Not Dead. Who
okay.
If you've had an abortion, you're a terrible human being.
Man.
Yeah, so your reaction is why I'm going I don't know if I want to see this, but
yeah, it was probably just better to avoid that.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, man. No, I feel like no one's gonna review that, and it'll just be a bunch of people going, yeah, if you're no, women can't have choices. Yeah, so I'm kind of I feel kind of obligated to review it. So, I might. I'm really kind of torn on that because I know Dumbo, at least I'll smile a couple times. I know Unplanned, I'll just be pissed off more than likely the whole time. So, I don't know. We'll see. I might save that till next weekend. Or I might do it $5 Tuesday on that. Just be okay. Get in, get
Dude,
out.
the theaters are packed here on Tuesdays. It's ridiculous.
Are they really?
Yeah, Tuesday matinees. It's if you don't get there early, you have to sit in the front row. Everybody goes on Tuesdays because it's $5. It's crazy.
Well, my other problem is too. I feel like if I don't see Unplanned this weekend, it'll probably be pulled by next week. Anyway,
That's a good point.
So I'm kind of I might just have to suck it up and see this on Friday night. Which, again, I'd rather do other things on a Friday night than see fucking Unplanned. But I don't know. So if we review that, if I review that, because I am not gonna make anyone else suffer with me. But if I see that, we'll have a review up next week, and we'll definitely have one for Dumbo. But guys, thank you so much for listening. Go ahead and subscribe. Let us know what you think. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.